Hello everybody!
Hi there!
Hi, welcome back to episode 4 of the GS E&C English podcast.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, my name's Owen.
I'm Lawton.
And today, first of all, before we start, we'd just like to say thank you to all of you.
Yes.
For all of your contribution, your comments, your likes, your questions, feedback, and all the views on our first few episodes. We really, really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much for that. And actually, because you guys have participated so well, we were actually able to get some microphones. So hopefully our sound quality will be much improved from this point on. So today we are actually bringing a kind of different kind of lesson for you. So previously we've listened to some dialogues and we also listened to a news article. But today we are actually going to do just a little bit of a basic, simple interview. Okay. So I'm just going to ask Owen a few questions about his job and his life so we can all get to know him a little better.
Okay.
And then at the end, after we finish that, we'll take a look at some useful expressions that Owen and I use during this conversation. All right?
Sounds good.
Sound good?
Okay.
All right. Let's jump into it.
Is this a GST?
This is not a GST, so don't worry. Don't worry. I won't give you a rating at the end.
Right, okay.
3. But let's go ahead and get started.
All right. I'm nervous.
All right. So first question. Can you just tell us a little bit about the work that you do here at GS? So what do you do on kind of a day-to-day basis here?
Okay, so on a day-to-day basis, I do a few different things. My main responsibility, I guess, is taking care of the QA/QC aspect of the GSTs.
Okay, so quality assurance, quality control.
Yeah. So I do that with my colleague Dylan, and we're responsible for making sure that all the ratings and all the interviews are done properly.
Right. So you're checking me.
Right.
Not these guys, right?
Not you.
Right.
I have to listen to them, but mostly I'm checking the
me, so I get checked as well.
Yeah, so I do that. And one of my other responsibilities is conducting training for the Site English program. So I do that. That's a full day course. So if you are going to go overseas on site, more than likely, you will come in to do that one-day training with me.
Okay, great.
And this podcast as well. So there's a few different things I do. Obviously, there's some other jobs in there, but those are my main roles. Okay,
main day-to-day tasks.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And how about more recently? What have you been up to in the last couple of weeks?
Recently I went over to Namcheon, Namcheon Leadership Center for 1 week, where I covered for Dylan. As he was off for a week. And so during that time, I did some teaching for the BC program, which is the 1-month intensive English course that we run over there.
Okay.
And so I did some presentation classes, some listening classes. And it was really good fun to get back in the classroom.
Yeah, sounds great. So now that we know a little bit about your job and what you do here, let's move on to some more personal questions.
Okay.
So, to start off, can you just tell us where you're from originally?
Okay, so from the UK, if you probably guessed.
Yeah, I can probably tell.
So born in London, but moved up north when I was about 5 years old.
Okay.
Moved to the countryside to Yorkshire. The closest city I kind of think of as my hometown is a city called Leeds. Leeds, which is a really great city. Huge student population and really fun place to be. Kind of famous for its industry a long time ago. Soccer team.
Okay.
Used to be good, not very good anymore.
Okay.
So that's my hometown, I think. Great place to be. If you ever go to the UK, definitely visit Leeds.
All right. We'll have to take that advice.
Yeah.
And how about just in kind of your free time, your spare time, what do you like to do for fun?
I like to do a few different things, mostly spend time with my family, with my 2 beautiful daughters and my wife. But other than that, I like to do a bit of baking, like making cakes.
Okay. And
after I make a big cake, it's important to do some exercise. So I like to do some marathon running. So I've run a few marathons over the years, and half marathons. I try to do those quite regularly.
It's a great way to stay healthy. Okay. And
Let's just ask one more question, just kind of for fun, just a silly question.
Okay.
If you could be any animal,
What animal would you be?
Okay. What animal? It's a tricky question. Okay, I would be an elephant.
Okay, an elephant. So why an elephant?
I think because these days I'm trying to study Korean, and studying Korean is really, really difficult. I'm studying project management. It's really, really difficult.
Okay.
I really have trouble remembering everything.
Right, lots to remember.
And they say that an elephant never forgets. So it would be very helpful if I could never forget.
Yeah, that would be very helpful. Good choice. Good choice. All right. I think that's going to go ahead and conclude our first interview for today. So hopefully you have gotten to know Owen a little better now.
Okay.
And now, yeah, you did it. You passed.
Okay. Better than a 3?
4.
4.
All right. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about some of the useful expressions that were used during that conversation.
All right. Let's check them out.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so now we're going to take a look at some of those expressions that we used during that conversation.
Okay.
So one of the first things that I asked you was what you do on a day-to-day basis or a daily basis here at GS E&C.
Yeah.
And so when you get asked that kind of question, how do you respond? What's the best kind of answer?
Well, there's a few things you could say. So the daily basis, first of all, it doesn't mean that it's something you have to be doing every day, right? So it's just like a day-to-day basis, daily basis, just your general roles and responsibilities.
Right, exactly. It's just your general roles and responsibilities.
Yeah.
So yeah, what are you usually doing at work?
Yeah.
Right.
So I can't remember exactly, but I think I would have said I'm responsible for. I'm responsible for something. Yep. So I'm responsible for the QA/QC, or I could say I take care of.
Take care of, yeah, the QA/QC role, maybe.
I oversee.
Oversee, maybe, yeah. I'm involved with.
There's lots of different expressions there.
Yeah, so let's highlight those really quickly just to summarize them. So we had I'm responsible for.
Yeah.
I take care of.
Yeah.
I'm involved with.
Yeah.
We could also say
oversee.
I oversee, and even one more. I think we could say I handle.
I handle. Yeah.
I handle the QA/QC.
Yes. Yeah. So I take care of the QA/QC process. I oversee the QA/QC process.
Right.
Yeah.
So all of those expressions would be very useful.
Yeah.
There's one expression that we hear a lot that I think you have to be a little bit careful about.
Yeah.
And that expression is I'm in charge of.
Right.
I'm in charge of X.
Yeah.
So why should we be careful about that expression?
Well, this is just an issue because I think I've heard lots and lots of people say I'm in charge of something when they really overstate their importance, right?
Okay, so they overstate their position.
Yeah, so I've heard people say, like, I'm in charge of piping engineering on the Ravi project, for example. Yeah, and maybe that person was an assistant manager at Delhi or a junior employee.
Right.
So they're not going to be in charge of the piping engineering on a whole project.
Okay, right. So if we say I'm in charge of something, you really mean that you are kind of the boss, put it simply, of that whole thing, that whole process, that whole activity. You're the boss.
Yeah.
Which, right, as you say, if you're kind of, a data and assistant manager level, you're probably not the boss of that whole thing.
Yeah, you could be in charge of a process. You could be in charge of an individual task or, a package maybe.
And you could definitely say I'm involved with the piping on this project.
I handle.
I handle would be great there. Right. So like for me personally, in our team, I would not say that I'm in charge of anything. There is nothing that happens on our team that I am the boss of. So I would never use the phrase take charge, or sorry, I'm in charge of.
Right, likewise. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's just one good thing to be careful about.
Yeah. So that's kind of a common error I hear quite a lot. So be careful with that. Unless you are obviously project manager,
Right.
senior engineer, then definitely you're in charge.
Of course, you can use it. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Okay, great. And then, in addition, I think there was one interesting question that I asked that I think could be a little bit difficult for English learners.
Mm-hmm.
And that question was, what have you been up to? What have you been up to?
Yeah.
And what does that mean exactly?
It just means what have you been doing?
Right.
So what have you been doing lately? But it's very, very common.
Very.
So if I saw you on the street, hey man, what have you been up to?
Right. And I would probably say not much in that case.
That's pretty standard kind of response.
Yeah. In just normal kind of day-to-day conversation, what have you been up to?
Yeah.
Not much.
What have you been getting up to as
What
well?
have you been getting up to? Again, not much. But of course, in this sort of interview context, Owen gave us a very detailed answer, and that made sense.
Yeah.
But just on kind of a day-to-day basis,
Yeah.
what have you been up to?
Not much.
Not much.
This and that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
So just a very useful expression that you guys can use in your daily English life.
Yeah, it's like just a greeting when you meet someone.
Yeah. Yeah, right. What have you been up to?
Okay.
All right. So if we see you around the company, we might ask you, what have you been up to?
Right. And you can tell us in detail, or you could just say, not much.
And both would be fine.
Okay. All right. I think that is all the time we have for today. There's some really good expressions there when you are talking about your work responsibilities. Make sure you use those words effectively, and meeting people asking that simple question would be very helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So today, Lawton asked me a few questions so you could get to know me. Down the line, I'll be doing the same. I'll be asking Lawton some questions as well so you can get to know him. But one thing we'd really like to do is get to know you guys.
Yeah, some of you guys.
So what we'd like is if any of you would like to join us here to talk to us about the work that your team, that you guys are doing out there in the organization. We think that would be really, really great.
Yeah, definitely. One thing we would really like to do with this podcast, this video cast, is just get to know everybody at the company a little better. And I think one great way to do that would be, for some of you to come on and just answer a few questions about your life and about your job. And we can just all get to know each other a little better.
Exactly. All right. So if you are interested in appearing on our show, don't worry, it won't be an English test.
It's not a GST.
Okay, we'll just ask you some simple questions and you can tell us about your work. If you would like to do that, send us a message on our email below or comment on the video, and we'd be happy to welcome you onto the show.
Right.
But in the meantime, before you do that, sign up to our courses that we have available. We've got the BS course in the morning or in the evening. If you sign up to the evening class, there's a good chance Lawton will be your teacher. Whew. Okay, there is an incentive. And we've got the BC programs in Namcheon and Yongin. They're great opportunities to do some intensive study as well.
Yep, and then of course we also have the EPC Sight English course. We've also got contract letters, and we have the phone English course, all great opportunities to improve your English. And don't forget to look at the transcript from the episode today, as well as the worksheet, if you would like to review some of the expressions that we covered today. Yeah. And we really look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
Yeah. See you next time.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.